Good morning, Broncos fans. It is another episode of Legends of Mile High, and today we are going to talk about another loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know what to say. I mean, at this point, it's comical. I'm That's all I can say. The Broncos are finding new ways to lose football games, and it's mind-boggling. I don't even know where to begin, but we have to begin somewhere. And I'm going to begin with Sean Payton. I don't Is Nathaniel Hackett dressing up as Sean Payton and coaching the Broncos? Because that's what it feels like the last couple games. And tonight was terrible game tonight. Last night. I can't fathom. It seemed like a junior varsity coach out there coaching the Denver Broncos. Mind boggling. Anyway, yeah, we'll get into that, and we'll get into whatever you guys want to talk about this morning. Obviously, there's going to be some people that are fed up, I would imagine. I am. I've been fed up for a long time in Broncos country with this Broncos team. So let's talk about what changes need to be made. We'll talk about the game, whatever. Let's get into it. Got David Youngkin coming in, man. Thanks for being here this morning, David. I really appreciate it. It's a tough one to get up in the morning after the Broncos are an embarrassment, but thank you for being here, David. And stop with the crap already. The team and everyone in the franchise is an embarrassment to the fans and to the state of Colorado. I think most of the folks in Colorado would agree with that statement. I mean, it's David. It's true. It's an embarrassment. And this year was supposed to be different, right? Traded a bunch of picks away for an experienced winning head coach who looks no better than the coach we had last year that we watched on the sidelines last night. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Thanks for being here, David. And we've got Brooklyn official music. Well, thank you for being here this morning. Appreciate it. It says the defense shows up for once and the offense can't help them out. It's hard being a Broncos fan. Yeah, it's been hard to be a Broncos fan for better part of a decade now, really. I mean, it's been pretty rough. So I feel you. And I'm not going to let the defense off the hook too much today either. Yes, they played much better. I think the Kansas City Chiefs, they look like they were just out there fooling around. I mean, they made some huge mistakes, that kept the Broncos in the game. They did tighten up their red zone defense, but, Kelsey still ran wild and, Mahomes had over 300 yards passing. So it wasn't a great performance, but you're right. It was finally a decent performance. And then lo and behold, the Broncos offense looked like Pop Warner out there. I don't know. I mean, really, Sean Payton deserves a ton of blame. Number one, I felt like his game day active roster decisions have been head scratching to say the least, right? He's activated only 2 real edge rushers and then someone that they picked up that's been on the practice squad since September 18th. They activated that guy, not anybody else, not Marcus Haynes, who actually played really good in preseason, had a good camp, not Incoom, who has been activated. He activated Perkins, who I don't even know if, what position he's really supposed to play at this point, but he played a lot of snaps out of necessity. But how are you going to get a pass rush from the edge if your edge rushers are whipped from rushing constantly the entire game in the fourth quarter? How's that possible if you don't have any rotation? I don't understand it. That was the first big mistake. The timeout at the half to gift the Chiefs 3 points. And Sean Payton came out afterwards like, I thought it was third down. It's your job to know what down it is. You're the head coach. You should be the one that knows what down it is. And he didn't, obviously. it really seems like he is really trying to lose as many games as possible. That's what it seems like. And then the play calling, the last 2 games have been pretty terrible, in my opinion. The play calling has been, I don't know, it's been bad. Chase Wallner coming in saying, I'm seeing a post that Amazon cameras were able to see the plays on Payton's sheet. Did you see it, Thomas? I didn't see that, but I'll tell you, it seemed like they gave the Kansas City Chiefs defense the playbook and the script to start the week, the short week. That's what it seemed like to me. There was no element of surprise. The Kansas City defense is a good defense, but it's not a great defense. They shouldn't be playing like they know what play is coming. That's all there is to it. But no, I didn't see them say that. But they zoom in on the sheet, and it was just bad all around. And Gabe Rocks is coming in. It's a tank job, he says. Why else would you call a timeout at the end of the first half to punt and give up a field goal? A boneheaded mistake? I doubt it. Yeah, I mean, that's what it seems like. Is he that bad, or is he just saying, you know what, I'm going to lose as many games as possible? If that's the case, I'm out on Sean Payton. I'm sorry. I don't want my coach, the coach of my favorite team, giving up like that. I know you can get a better draft spot. I understand it. I had a lot of problems with Sean Payton to begin with, but if he's purposely losing, then I think I'm out on him. I mean, I really am. He's not they traded away the farm to get him, and this was supposed to be a better team, and it's not. It's just not. And not to mention that there's plenty of decisions that he's made to make me go down that road, right? I mean, it's not just the in-game decisions. I mean, his fingerprints on the free agents acquisitions. McGlinchey's been horrible in my mind. Ben Powers hasn't been that good. Frank Clark's already gone. I mean, he's on his way out. Those decisions in the offseason were bad. Hiring Vance Joseph was bad. I don't see, I mean, unless this master plan is to get the number 1 overall pick, then why did you come back from the Bears, in the second half? Why not just go ahead and roll over and lose? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But I'm going to tell you right now, there's so many players on this team that need to be gone. And it's not just because they're not trying hard, but some of them just aren't very good. Like, I can look at that defense and say that you keep 2 starters, Surtain and Benito, and the rest of that defense needs to be replaced. Starter on defense need to be replaced over the next 2 years, whether it be, young people that you've drafted or free agent acquisitions or whatever it may be. You can replace that in almost that entire starting lineup on defense, in my mind, and you wouldn't miss a beat. You would definitely improve. So, all right, we got David Basada coming in. I'm tired of losing, he says. Tired of being embarrassed. Yeah, we all are. I mean, there's nothing else to say. I mean, it is an embarrassment. That's it. It's an embarrassment out there. I'm tired of it too. It's been too long. That's all I've got to say. Scott Dillon's coming in from Facebook. Thank you, Scott. Saying good morning, Thomas. I think we are in full tank mode. That's got to be the only explanation at this point. I mean, can it be so inept without it being on purpose? I mean, I guess that's what it seems like. And you normally tank by getting rid of, trading away good players, right? To get draft capital. You tank because you just get all your talent off the team. Well, this team's not very talented, for one. And I think that Sean Payton's actually trying to tank by having a terrible game plan and calling games terribly and making dumb decisions with everything. I mean, I guess that could be the explanation. I don't know. It's crazy. And David's coming back in with the conspiracy theory, so to speak. I bet when Sean got hired, he said, I want to tank for the first year and rebuild. Maybe, but geez, I don't know, man. Poor the fans of the Broncos. It's terrible. We got, Scott talking about Vance Joseph was a big mistake. Yeah, he was. He was. I know that they played better. They had a decent red zone defense, but I mean, let's face it. I don't even think the Chiefs were using the playbook they would use against a real team. I mean, it looked like they were out there fooling around, trying a bunch of trick plays, see how they work. I mean, that's a slap in the face. I mean, the Broncos fans should be ashamed if the Chiefs actually think that the Broncos are so bad they don't even have to really dig into their real playbook. So it's I don't know. It's just a terrible, terrible all around. That's all I got to say. And then, the other thing too, Greg Dulcich walking out to the huddle, pulls his hamstring again. I mean, and then you're stuck with Adam Troutman. You made Adkins inactive. I mean, what is going on here? Like you really going to count on perpetually hamstrung Dulcich for a game and Adam Troutman and you've got your blocker out there. Sure, man hurts, but he's not a receiving threat. You the I didn't see it took a while for the first wide receiver to get open. I mean, can you scheme these guys open or are they just not even trying? I don't know. You got your feud with Jerry Jeudy with Steve Smith before the game. This team's a mess, and that's a reflection on the head coach. I'm sorry. If you got a motivation problem and you've got people popping off to legends out there instead of going out and performing on the field, that's a head coaching problem. And maybe Sean Payton's master plan is to have a huge problem this year, weed out those folks that don't want to be here, don't want to play, or rather be doing something else. Okay. I mean, if that's the thing, if that's what he's doing, if that's his master plan, and next year he's going to come out and be a great coach, all right. I guess I'll give him another season, but it doesn't seem like that to me. It seems like he's not the coach for the job at this point. But I don't know. Gabe Rocks is coming back in, giving credit to Simmons on the fake field goal. He sacrificed his body to plug the gap. What more can you ask from a free safety? Yeah, that was a great play. In fact, the Broncos took care of business a few times on defense, which was a surprise to me. And the special teams, I like Simmons. He's going to be off of this team most likely. He's going to get traded to some team that needs him. Maybe the Philadelphia Eagles. Maybe he'll go out and experience winning. But I don't think he has a future here with the Broncos. There's a lot of players that don't really have a future here with the Broncos. But yeah, I give him credit too. He played hard. There were some players out there who played hard, and there were some players out there that didn't. We've got Scott Dillon coming in with a question about Baron Browning. Is he playing or is he out hurt? So Baron Browning was on the physically unable to perform list all training camp, all season so far, all preseason. He hasn't played a game down of football really in practice or anything until recently. He was activated off of the PUP list, but I think they're trying to work him back in. It's a little different than like PJ Locke, right? PJ Locke went on to came back after 4 games from being on IR, but he had played and he'd practiced, he had played in some preseason games and whatnot, and then ended up getting hurt. But he was a little bit more ready. So my expectation is Baron Browning will be playing next weekend. That's my expectation. Unless they decide that they're like, well, you know what? We're not going to play him either. So I don't know. Yeah, but I expect him to be out. He's just taking a little while to get back into football shape and get on the field. But I think you'll see him next week. Deuce from New Orleans. Good morning to you. KC used their Tecmo Bowl playbook last night. Yeah, that's what it seemed like. They were just trying stuff. I don't know. It's crazy. And Scott Dillon's coming back and saying, watching the post-game interviews, it seems everyone is just okay with losing. No heart. The whole attitude has to change in Denver. Yeah, and that's why I'm good with getting rid of players that I like, right? That they're accustomed to losing. I wrote about it. I've talked about it for the last 4 weeks now, that you have players, you have the starters on this team. At the time I wrote it, there was only 5 of them who had experienced winning seasons. So everybody else pretty much that started on that team at that time had no experience in a winning season. They just didn't experience winning. And so that becomes a mentality, right? That becomes, you don't know how to win. And you have teams that, even with inexperienced players, they figure out a way to win, right? And this team doesn't. And that's the problem. And they're tired of it, obviously. I mean, you've got Jerry Jeudy, who has more Twitter feuds with Broncos legends than he has receiving touchdowns so far this season. So it's one of those things that they just don't know how to go out there and take care of business at this point. And it's going to take a roster turnover in order to get that to happen. That's all there is to it, a roster turnover. Keith Brugman, all right. It's good to see you here. I really appreciate you being here, Keith. Thank you. Keith saying Simmons played with passion last night. Yeah, I mean, he played really well. And there were some players out there who really played hard. But the problem is Simmons is going to be your ticket to a pretty good set of draft picks, most likely. So that's probably why he's gone. I know that there's people out there that are saying burn the whole team to the ground. And, you're not going to be able to do a rebuild with just rookies. It's just the way it is. You're going to have some players that are vets, and things like that. But, Simmons is not going to be in the long-term plans. You got to get rid of players who are not going to be in your long-term plans over the next if you're not in the plan for 2 to 3 years, then they need to be gone and get what you can for them, and bring in some new vets, bring in some young players. It's just, that's how it's got to be. So yeah, Simmons was playing well last night, but it wasn't enough. Jeremy Sean's coming in. It's looking more and more like your prediction that Dennis Allen is going to be the next defensive coordinator with the Broncos. You predicted it a long time ago. I think you're going to be right. So I'm going to give you a shout out, tip the cup to you and the hat. I think you called it, and that's what it's looking like. But Jeremy's saying, morning, Thomas, to be positive, we can only look towards the future, and losing is helping the future. Yeah, but it really stinks right now, right? As a Broncos fan, to be embarrassed all the time, especially on national TV like that. It's embarrassing, and it's tough to be a Broncos fan. And let's face it, this is a entertainment industry. That's all it is. I know it's a sports industry, but the fans need to be entertained, and losing is not entertaining the fans. And you're going to see empty seats this year in your stadium. That's all there is to it. Albert Knopper's coming in saying, good morning, Thomas and Mile High Huddle fans. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it, Albert. It's one of those things where it's tough to, get up in the morning and talk Broncos when they're losing. It's terrible. It just really is. And Clayton Huron's coming in with some great advice saying, morning, guys, smash the like button and share. Yeah, thank you so much for reminding folks of that. Really appreciate that, Clayton. Thanks for being here this morning. Thanks for that. And I'll just say this. I'm going to remind everybody, I know this is a tough time to be a Broncos fan, but if you are going to be in Denver, going to the game on this Sunday coming up against the Green Bay Packers, not this Sunday, obviously, but the next Sunday, we're going to be out there. Mile High Huddle, going to be out there going strong with a meet and greet, giving some FaceTime to the fans, so to speak. Come talk football with us. We're going to be in Lot E. Just look for the big Mile High blue Mile High Huddle tent with the flags. All your podcasters are going to be out there. We can lament together about how bad this team is, or just talk about history, which is what I'm going to be focused a lot on this show going forward, because I really can't. It's hard to talk about the Broncos, current Broncos. So let's reminisce about when they were good. So that's what's coming up. So thank you for being here this morning, Clayton, and I hope to see you out at the meet and greet. Diego Alonso's coming with a super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. You have no idea how I just can't express my appreciation for anyone that supports the show. This is one of those shows that I love. Started it. It was my idea to do history and current events. So I love it. It's fun to do for me, and any support I can get, I really appreciate it. Diego saying, good morning, Thomas. Why didn't Mims get any snaps? It's mind boggling. I really hope we can get Williams or May this year. Yeah, I mean, that's another head scratcher, right? you've got your most dynamic and probably your best wide receiver on the team. He's just a rookie, and he got the least amount of snaps on offense he's gotten all year. I don't get it. It is like they're actively trying to lose, and I do not like that. Or they're so inept they can't figure out how to actually win games. So either way, it's horrible. That's I don't want my coach to tank. I don't. I mean, I know that it puts you into a better position in the draft, but I'm going to tell you right now, the draft is not it's not an exact science. Look at the quarterbacks that have been taken over the last few years. There's only a handful of them that are actually pretty good. So, and I know Caleb Williams had very good, very talented, and May, as you explained, also very talented. But it may not solve your problems. Your problems are you have a team that doesn't know how to win and a coach who seems to be coaching like a junior varsity coach right now. So it's one of those things, man. Another thing, give him snaps and see what he can do. Just keep seeing what he can do. Get him some experience. If you're tanking, you need Mims to be out there playing and being ready for next year to receive the ball from somebody else, I suppose. But thank you for the support. And Casey Nickel coming in with a thank you so much for the support super chat. I really appreciate you being here this morning. I really do, and I appreciate the support. Casey says, I'm convinced that the strategy was rebuild from the ground up day one, and that's the correct move. We all know it's time. Yeah, we definitely know it's time. But if that was the strategy, why did they make some of the moves that they made? I guess is my question, right? If they knew they were going to tank, why did you spend so much money on McGlinchey? I mean, I thought he was overpaid at the time. I didn't think he was was worth the amount of money that they paid. But I mean, why would you spend that? Why not save the cap space? Why not go out and get a cheaper option? Spend a lot of money on Ben Powers, who I thought was a great signing at the time, but he's not played very well. There were some moves. Go out and get Frank Clark. Why? It's a head scratcher to me to think that they planned on tanking and rebuilding from the beginning. Unless they really thought that McGlinchey and Powers were going to be long-term answers, like really, for 5-6 years, really long-term answers. I don't think that at least McGlinchey wasn't based on his age, but yeah, I mean, maybe it is. Maybe this is the master plan. I hope so. I hope it's the master plan, because if it isn't, man, this is really embarrassing. I just nothing else I could say. I mean, if they're not actively trying to tank, then this is embarrassing. So, Casey, I appreciate it. I appreciate your comments as always on all the shows that I'm on. I mean, still love to see you on Mile High Insiders on Wednesday night. Love to see you on Orange and Blue View on Saturday, which I'm not going to be on. I'm actually going on a vacation for the first time in a very long time. Going to go on vacation, so I'm not going to be on Saturday, but Ron, my coach, will be there, and Lance Sanderson on this Saturday coming up. But then, the following Saturday we'll be maybe back. I don't know. I'm going to be in Denver, so I don't know how we're going to pull this off. It's going to be interesting right before the Green Bay Packers game and the meet and greet. So we'll see. We'll see. Jeremy, thanks for coming back in. With the rest of the season, he says, is an exercise of will and intestinal fortitude. Yeah, let's see who actually can go out there and put in the effort. And that's the thing. Like, why aren't you playing your young guys, right? I mean, Incoom is supposed to be a kind of a future player in this team, but he's inactive. JL Skinner has not played a single snap, not been active once, even when they were down to the bare minimum of safeties, right? Like, that's the point. That's the part that really kind of boggles my mind. If you're going to really go out there and tank and see what you have, why aren't these players active? I mean, JL Skinner must be really, really bad at this point in time if he can't even get out on the field, even on special teams, right? And when there was 2 safeties that were available, and at one point in time, why aren't they playing those people? Why aren't they seeing what they have? If JL Skinner doesn't play a snap all season, He's going to be behind. If they have him in the future, why is he not playing? Why is Mims getting less and less snaps? I mean, we know what they have in Mims. We know. I mean, Mims is a great player. He's the best wide receiver on the team, for my opinion, so far. Why isn't he getting more snaps? Why? I mean, why isn't Alec Palczewski activated? Right, like get him off of the IR. He's probably healed up by now. Get him out there, get him some snaps, see what he can do. McGlinchey's been bad. I'm telling you, he's not been very good. Let some other players come out there that maybe have some future with this team. See who can go out and play and who has the want to. And that's not what they've been doing. They've been if they're doing it, they're kind of halfway doing it right now. They need to go full on. If they want to go full on and see what's up next for this team, go out there and play a lot of those young guys. And I'm just not seeing it, right? We've got Gatorade Gaming. Thanks for being here this morning. Saying, morning, Thomas, what's good, Broncos country? Well, the Broncos aren't, but hey, maybe good times will return. The 60s were a terrible time for the Broncos, early 70s, and then you had a stretch of greatness all the way up until 2015, really. So hopefully good times will return again. So thanks for being here this morning. And Peter Middleton, thank you for being here, Peter. Appreciate it. Saying, so we actually had a defense today, but still didn't get close. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like we're all saying that, VJ needs to go. He came out and then called a pretty good defense. The defense played okay. I'm still not going to let him off the hook because I think the Kansas City Chiefs were just toying with the Broncos at the most part, fooling around, it looked like. But yeah, you had a decent defense and an offense that just disappeared, that wasn't even here. And you got to give some credit to the Kansas City Chiefs. They called a perfect game, apparently, because they were in the right spot almost every time. So I will say, though, that catch by Sutton to get that touchdown was an incredible catch. I mean, Sutton hadn't really done a whole lot, but that was a great catch. I can't even believe the refs, had to review that. I mean, there was a ref standing there looking right at it. I don't know what that ref was thinking, unless they're like, oh, well, we got to make sure Kansas City Chiefs win because we got this famous person in the box that we got to make sure we keep that storyline going. But there's a joke on that from my perspective. So, and I'm going to grab King in the North because bringing up a great movie, Clint Eastwood, Heartbreak Ridge. This team is like the scene in Heartbreak Ridge when Gunny Highway comes into the recon platoon barracks to lay down the law. Yeah, it's a great movie. I love that movie. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, there's somebody needs to come in and be the adult. Like Sean Payton to me is still doesn't seem to be the adult, right? The adult in the room. He makes a lot of excuses, and he has a built-in excuse if Vance Joseph can't, continue to have some success. There's another excuse, but yeah, I'm tired of the excuses, and I'm tired of the whining. When he was at the Saints, he was a big whiner, and I'm sorry. I know he's the coach of the Broncos. He was not my first choice, and there was a lot of reasons why I didn't want him to come here. Then when he did, I tried to embrace it, but so far he has not impressed me. He just hasn't. Yeah, he's had a pretty decent offense a couple times, but nothing that would bring back any sort of reminiscing about the 2013 Broncos for sure. All right, we got Jim Kendrick coming in. Thank you for being here, coming in from Facebook, and coming in with some positivity. And it really is hard to be positive as a Broncos fan, and I tried to be last night with my tweets, but it's just so hard when it's so inept. But Jim's saying everyone is down, but I feel the Broncos made strides last night. The offense was bad, but they will be okay, especially if the defense plays like that. Yeah, I mean, you can look for some positivity. There were some players that I thought played pretty well. I thought, and you got to keep playing those players. Like I said, you got to get some of these young guys some time on the field and see what they're about, see what they can do. They're going to make mistakes, but oh well. The team's 1-5. They're not going to go to the playoffs. Start playing some of these young guys. My guess is today and over the next few days, you're going to see players being moved. I mean, at this point, there's no hope for the playoffs. You're going to see I think it's going to be Garrett Bowles. I think it's going to be Justin Simmons. I think obviously Frank Clark. You're going to see most likely one of 2 wide receivers gone. I mean, that's 5 players who were future, of this team. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that aren't going to be here, and you're probably going to get something, not a lot for him. I think you can get something for Garrett Bowles and you get something for Justin Simmons. You're not going to get any high picks for the wide receivers just based on their play. Although I think Sutton played fairly well for the most part, towards the end of the game. I don't think they had a good game plan to begin with. So I don't know, but thanks for that comment, Jim. Scott Dillon, at least on this show, we can talk about the good old Broncos days. Yeah, I was, it was funny you say that because I figured I was going to, I thought I'm going to bring back Mile High Legend today, but then I realized I can't bring it back today because we're going to be talking about the Broncos game. So next weekend, hopefully, next Friday, we're going to really dive into history. So thanks for that. And then Gabe Rock's coming back in. I said Dulcich would last 3 to 5 games before going out with a hammy, but it was 11 snaps. Hard to believe how many injury duds we've invested in. Yeah, it's one of those things that man, it's an injury bug situation. Yeah, Dulcich was that was a waste to have him back already because he had no impact at all. So and then Clayton, thank you for this. Great way to start a Friday morning. Great job, bud. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I mean, this isn't one of those shows where we have tons of people coming in all the time, but the people who are here are fun to interact with. You guys know a lot about the Broncos, and you know a little bit about the history. It's fun to interact with you, so I appreciate that, and thanks for being here. We've got Ryan Slavic coming in saying, Thomas, would think that Sutton and Judy are gone before next game, but will Wilson be the QB next year, you think? Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see some moves. Absolutely. I don't know about Russell Wilson. The problem is his contract, right? I think if you're going to move on from Russell Wilson anytime in the next 3 years, you do it right away, right? You just do it. You bite the bullet, because what's going to happen is you're going to take all that dead cap. It's going to be moved up into that. You're going to take a big hit right away, but then you can start using cap money to build the team right earlier. If they try and keep him another year, that's just going to prolong it. And even if they do draft a quarterback, you're going to have too much money tied up in the quarterback position in order to rebuild the team. I mean, you're not going to get the benefits of the rookie quarterback. Now, I think if Russell Wilson had a better team around him, better play calls, he could be a good quarterback. We saw his play. It's been pretty good. He's not the type of quarterback that's going to put the team on his back and carry them anymore. So I don't know what the plan is, but if the plan is not to have him around, then you bite the bullet early. So, all right. So we got a long one here from Lee Hunt. So I'm just going to read through it. Thank you for being here from Facebook. Really appreciate that. Says flashes. Perkins looked very workable. Simmons coming downhill as a safety should to make strong hits. D line gave effort, but absolutely no dogs on that line. Wide receivers, as Smith said about Judy. Yep, just a guy. All Broncos wideouts, all tier 3, no tight end. Yeah, I mean, going through this, talented but can't stay on the field. That's the best availability, right? And then finally ending it with, it's sad when Kush, it seems to be about the most consistent on the line. Absolutely awesome running back room. Wilson is horrible. The offense is horrible. Yeah. I mean, all those points are well taken. There's nobody on this team right now. I mean, there's talent on the team, young guys on this team, don't get me wrong, but there's nobody on this team who's that real kind of leader to step up and move this team to the next level. So you got to bring new people in. You just have to. You've got to overturn this roster. Some of these players need to go anyway because they're going to be better off somewhere else. So yeah, it's one of those things where, you just you got to bite the bullet and do it. Diego Alonso's coming back in with another super chat. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And I'm just going to say, if I miss your comments, I apologize. I'm here by myself. I do this show by myself. Nobody in the background. So it is hard to keep up on, especially on busier days like this. But thank you for the comment and for the support. Diego says, if Russ keeps playing as bad as he did yesterday, do you think there's a chance that Stidham gets a start? Not saying it will make a difference, but man, yeah, I mean, yeah, people are calling for Stidham. It's not going to be better with Stidham. Stidham's not the future of this team. He's a backup quarterback at best. I would give Russell Wilson a few more chances before you bench him, because he actually was playing pretty well. I mean, he really was. It was a terrible game last night, but I can't put it all on Russell Wilson. I didn't early on. I'm going to have to go look at the film to make sure, but it didn't look like the wide receivers were beating any sort of man coverage. It didn't look like they were getting open early on. The offensive line's bad. Play calling was bad. There was a mix of a lot of things. And I'm not trying to make excuses for Russell Wilson. He played bad. He played poorly. And, my article with the risers and fallers, studs and duds, whatever you want to call it, he's a dud. He was one of the duds. He played terrible. But, there's a lot of stuff going on that was terrible. And it's hard to put it all on Russell Wilson. But I don't really want to. I mean, I saw enough of Stidham in camp and preseason. I didn't think he was that good. You're definitely not going to be better off. And if you're going to play him for what purpose? He's not in the future. I would play him if Russell Wilson got hurt, or if if Russell Wilson gets so bad. I mean, yeah, I guess so. But the problem is you don't want Russell Wilson to be bad, because you want to hopefully get rid of him, right? You want to hopefully move on from him, get a new quarterback. Maybe you can, if he plays good enough, you can get, you can get something for him in a trade, but I don't know if anyone would take on that contract. So, but anyway, thank you, Diego. I really appreciate the support. Really appreciate you being here. Bronco Kid coming in with some support. Thank you so much. Bronco Kids says, am I the only one who felt Sean Payton play calling was bad? I know Russ played awful, but Payton did him no favors. No, I said that right from the beginning, right? Right when I opened the show, I talked about, is Nathaniel Hackett dressing up like Sean Payton to coach this team? The last two games, the play calling, I thought, has been terrible. I mean, last week, they didn't even try to throw a ball to the end zone when they were in the red zone. That cost them dearly. So I think, and then last night, I don't know what was going on. I thought the play calling was bad. I mean, you look at the play calling from Kansas City, and you see players, wide receivers, getting schemed open. And I know that Travis Kelce is going to be a Hall of Famer. Unfortunately, I I hate to say that because he's a Kansas City Chiefs player, but he gets open. They scheme people open, and it was either the wide receivers didn't care, or the offensive scheme was terrible. And that could be the case. Maybe they're just, nobody can get open. I don't know. And another thing that really bothers me, I was wrong on Adam Trautman. I thought Adam Trautman was going to be a fairly valuable tight end. He's been terrible this year. I mean, the tight ends have either missed a bunch of time or have been bad. To me, give Adkins a shot. Let him play. See what you've got in him. The team obviously thought something of him to have him on, active on the team. On game day, kept him on the roster. Give him a shot. Let's see at this point, it's time to see what all of these other players can do. Right? What can these other players do? That's my I guess that's my kind of final thought on this whole thing is, give these young players a chance to see what they can do for the rest of the season. Trade away some players, start other players. If some of these vets have to come back in, okay, because of injuries or whatever, fine. Let's see what the Broncos have. You have the opportunity to give many young players an audition for next season now. The Broncos season is over. It's over. I'm sorry. They're not going to come back from 1-5 and do something great. I mean, if that happens, I would be flabbergasted. So anyway, Orange Bucky's coming in, responding to Gabe about we have been somewhat patient for 8 years. Yeah, I mean, it's been rough, rough time. It really has. This was supposed to be a different season, and everybody talked big about it. I thought it was going to be, but we've been patient long enough. It's time to see some results. It is, and let's see them. Okay. Well, I'm gonna um, I'm going to grab one more comment, and then I'm gonna wrap up the show. But I'm gonna grab this from James Rutledge, saying, "Honestly, how much does this ultimately fall on the shoulders of George Payton? It seems like most of the bad decisions have been on his watch. A lot of them have. I mean, the decision to sign Russell Wilson to a long-term contract with big money when he didn't have to is his biggest mistake. And frankly, someone's going to have to accept responsibility for that, and ultimately it's George Payton. I mean, free agent or general managers make mistakes. They do. I mean, Randy Gregory was a mistake. Some of the draft choices was a mistake. It happens, right? Not every GM is perfect. But I'll tell you, some of the free agent acquisitions this offseason is it's on Sean Payton. I mean, McGlinchey was a terrible signing so far. I think it was a waste of money. I mean, I don't think George Payton is going to be around. At one point I thought, well, maybe they'll give him another shot, but kind of see what he and Sean Payton can do over a couple off seasons. But ultimately, that big mistake is probably going to cost George Payton. That's all I'm seeing is it's probably going to cost him, and he's probably going to be out. I don't know who they're going to bring in, but it needs to be somebody that obviously works well with Sean Payton, someone that has that ability to work really well in conjunction with what the team needs. So, and Jeremy, you're saying it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. A lot of dirty hands on this terrible team, ironically. Yeah, there's plenty of blame to go around. And so far, the savior of this team, the supposed savior, Sean Payton, he's one of those that deserve a lot of blame right now. He's not been a good coach from my perspective the last two games, and he's made some pretty poor decisions in the offseason. So we're going to see another. I see maybe another win on this season. That's it. I mean, this is going to be one of the worst seasons the Broncos have ever had, when it was supposed to be kind of that, hey, we're going to compete for the playoffs this year. And you're going to see a purge. You're going to see a lot different team next year, most likely, a lot of different faces. And unfortunately for Broncos fans, it's another year of suffering. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say other than thank you all for being here. I really appreciate all of the support. If I missed some of your comments, I apologize from Facebook. I'm trying to look at it here, make sure I'm keeping up, but I really appreciate it. Thank you for being here this morning with me on Legends of Mile High. Next week, hopefully, we're going to jump back into history, do another Mile High legend, and maybe we can have a little fun talking about when the Broncos were good, because the Broncos are not. And this is you got a long week here coming up, and you're going to see some changes. My guess is you're going to start to see those happening right away. So, I guess that's it. Keith Bregman saying, chin up Broncos fans. Thank you. James Rutledge coming in with great show. Orange Bucky's coming in. Bronco Kid, great therapy session. Yeah, it's good to talk about it. And Jeremy's good news. It's a great year to be really bad. So yeah, thank you all for coming in. Appreciate it. And try to enjoy the weekend. You don't have to watch the Broncos lose. So try to enjoy the weekend. Have a good time. Put this off. Just think positively for next year, and just think about, hopefully they can make those decisions now that set the Broncos up for a better team next year. That's what we're hoping for. Sean Payton can't do that. He's not the man for the job. I want to see in the Green Bay game, I want to see young players playing. That's all I want to see. Let's see what happens. All right. Orange Bucky taking us out, saying great show, Thomas. Thank you very much, Orange Bucky. Thank you to all. And Broncos fans, have a good day.